Now that we have a header in our draft resume with our name and contact information, it's time to start filling in the body of the resume. A resume contains a lot of information, and if at all possible, we want that information to fit on one page, which means we need to be very careful and intentional about our formatting. What you see here is the education section of our resume, which we're going to use to set up the entire Word document so that it looks uniform. We could go through and change each line of this to look the way that we want it to, but that often ends up with some funky consequences that can be hard to fix. With just a little bit of setup and styles, we'll be able to fill out our resume with ease and consistency. The first thing that you need to do when setting up your styles is make sure that you can see the ruler. If you don't see the ruler at the top of your document, click the View tab and make sure the check mark is there for ruler. Now you'll be able to see where tab stops are set and indentations. Next, we're going to want to see what our styles currently are set to. To find your styles, click on the Home tab and find your Styles window. Click on the down arrow to see them all at once. You'll notice that if we were to choose heading 1, we would have large font in blue, a little bit smaller font in blue for heading 2, and so on. These are not the styles that we would like for our resume now, so we're going to go and modify those styles. In order to do that, click on Styles pane. This brings up all your styles at once and quickly lets you know the different settings that are set for each. Let's start with heading 1. To modify this style, click the down arrow and click on Modify Style. You'll see here that we have a font set to Aptos, a font size of 20, we have a blue color, and no spacing options. Let's change this to be uniform with our heading. We're going to change our font to Calibri, our font size to 11. We would like all heading 1s in the document to be bold and them all to be the color black. We do want them left justified, but we want them single spaced. You'll also see in this pane here what it looks like on the page, and you'll notice there's a big gap between the paragraph and the heading, and another gap between the heading and the next paragraph. In order to fix this and get as much of the page as we can, click on Format and then choose Paragraph. You'll see here under spacing that our before and after spacing is set to 18 and 4. We're going to change this to 0. Click OK. I also want to go and take a look at our font settings because I want every heading 1 to be all caps. Click OK and click OK to save those settings. Now if I were to make this first line of education a heading 1 and I click on heading 1, it is now the right size, it is in all caps, it is bolded, and then the spacing is all correct. The next line is going to be a heading 2. But again, we don't currently want our heading 2 to look like this. Click on the down arrow next to heading 2 and click Modify Style. We're going to use a lot of the same settings. We're going to make our font Calibri. Our font size is going to be 11. We still want this bold and the color black. Left justified, single spaced. Again, we're going to go look at our paragraph settings and make sure that our spacing is set to 0 points for both before and after. Click OK. And I'm just going to take a quick look at our font setting to make sure we do not have all caps set, which we do not. OK. And I'm going to also insert a tab stop that is right justified for our expected graduation month, date, and year. To do that, click on Format and choose Tabs. I want this tab stop to be at the very end of our document. So using our ruler, I know that that is at 6.5 inches. I want that to be right justified, and I want no leader. This means that every time I hit Tab, it's going to pull my cursor to the end of the document. Click OK. Click OK again. Now let's make this line a heading 2. You'll see that it's bolded, and because I had put a tab in between Minnesota and expected, it pulled the tabbed section to the end of the document. Now I don't want all of this to be bolded, just that first part. So I will make a one-off change here and unbold that section. Let's do the same for the next line and make this a heading 3. Click on the down arrow next to heading 3 in your style pane and click Modify Style. Choose the same settings we had before, Calibri font, 11 font size. For a heading 3, we're going to want them italicized. Make sure the color is set to black, left justified, single spaced, and again, we're going to go and look at our paragraph settings and change our spacing options. Click OK, and click OK. Now let's make this line a heading 3. Perfect. The next 3 lines, we're going to make a bulleted list in the normal style. So let's go and modify our normal style. Modify style next to normal in the styles pane. Choose the same settings as before. Size 11. We're not going to have bold or indented or underlined. We want to make sure our color is black, left justified, single spaced. Let's go take a look at our paragraph, change our space settings to 0. Click OK. We want to make this a normal style, so we'll click on normal, and we're going to use our formatting options at the top to make it a bulleted list. The last thing we want to do is add a bottom border so that we can recognize that this is a separate section from sections that will come after this. So we're going to click on Education, go to our border settings, and choose Bottom Border. We now have all our styles set up for the rest of our sections, so we can continue on in our resume. We are going to want to add in an undergraduate section. We know that we want it to be a heading 2, so we're going to click on heading 2, and when we start typing, we'll keep the settings for that heading, and we won't have to go and mess around with them again. So we're going to add in the name of our undergraduate university, a vertical bar, and the city and state, and then we want to enter a tab which will pull everything over to the right so that we can put in our graduation month and year. Again, we don't want all of this bold, so I'm just going to quickly unbold this section. And then our next line, we're going to want to be a heading 3, where we are going to talk about our degree and our major, vertical bar, minor, if that's applicable. I'm going to unitalicize just this portion that says major and minor. And then we're going to do a bulleted list where we mention our GPA, awards, if any, and activities. We're going to need a section for our job experience. Since this is a new section from education, we're going to need another heading 1 called experience. Let's go ahead and add in that bottom border. And our next line will make a heading 2 where we will say our employer name, vertical bar, city, state. I'm going to want a tab so I can enter in the dates that I worked at that employer. I'm going to unbold this part after city, state. I'm going to want a heading 3 for our job title, and then a bulleted list where I list my job duty descriptions. and I will continue on. Why don't you give this a shot? Work on setting up your resume to enter in an education setting and an experience setting with at least 3 different employers, and save your document.